Yes, I get to officially be the first podcast to have joint cabin leaders from the PMM camp on one podcast episode. Allison, how are you today?
Woohoo! Joint cabin leaders. Let's go. I'm great.
Good. For those of you who are like, what the heck are you talking about? PMM camp has this great thing where they do groups of very small groups of like 5 to 6 product marketers in kind of similar like little like joined up cabins. We try to mimic the experience of summer camp in some ways or form. Alice and I were selected to be those leaders. I think I have a feeling I'm going to be for like the solo PMM from that perspective is kind of what
Probably.
I applied for. So I'm really excited. But as much as I love PMM camp and my fellow PMMs like you, Allison, that's not what we're here to talk about today. There's some aspects of enablement and working with the sales team specifically that you bring so much value and insight to. You have a great story where it came to life at a trade show that we're going to touch on in just a little bit. But first question I had jotted down, what's the moment you realized that great messaging on a slide deck isn't actually a blocker for the teams? It's that sellers just got to believe in what they're pitching. That's pretty stark difference from what maybe a lot of PMMs or even sales account reps would assume. Like, why are you thinking that?
I think that we as product marketers, we gravitate towards focusing on the messaging, the positioning, right? Making sure that everything is just right. And I'm not saying that that is a bad thing, right? Like we will always continue to do that. That's a kind of a core, that's the crux, right, of what product marketers do. What I am saying though, is that one thing that we don't really give enough credence to or talk a lot about is sales confidence and the belief that in that messaging. And so it's not just saying like, when you just throw some messaging on a deck or a doc and you're talking through it with there, you've got to have, sales reps have to believe what you're saying is true. And because when they believe it, they go out and they sell it and they sell the crap out of it, right? And just have, a banner experience with it. I don't know about you. I was a former seller as well. And I've seen, and obviously I've done a lot of a sales enablement as a PMM, and not every launch is exactly right, and sometimes I think sellers have felt that they've been burned a little bit. And by burned, I mean, maybe it's not as crisp, like the product gets hyped, right? It gets overhyped sometimes, right? Maybe doesn't deliver the exact experience that they're expecting. And so because of that, they're just a little skeptical about it, and rightfully so. I mean, I was always skeptical of everything and pushing product team, pushing everybody to do better and better and faster and faster. And so, but when the stars align and you've got a killer product launch and you've got the data either to back it up or the proof points, and a seller sees this in action, that is when the light bulb moment goes off, and that's when you can see everything clicks, and then they get the confidence knowing that, hey, when I do talk about whatever it is in this launch, the person on the receiving end, they're actually going to believe what I'm saying because I believe what I'm saying, and this is going to be, this is when the stars align, right? And when they're going to blow out their number.
Yeah, and to your point, no, I was never a seller. I actually have a crippling fear of being rejected. So sales in SDR life was not for me. But to that point, I think about the times that I feel like I've been confident. It's as a PMM, it's like I've had all this data, this massive amount of data. That isn't always the case in how to translate confidence for a rep, right? Walk me through then from what you've seen in your perspective, what goes wrong when a PMM tries to solve this, what I'll call confidence gap with just more information or better slides? Like, what are we actually missing as PMMs?
Well, confidence is kind of is what happens when everything works in that enablement, when they actually believe what's there. So I think that it's, just that missing piece, is seeing it in action and seeing it's not just like, let's just throw something on the screen and hope it hits, but they're seeing how it can run through in real life. And I know we're going to chat about this, right? Kind of like a moment. So I'm kind of like leading up to it as well. But when that happens and when you can launch something at an event, right? Which I know doesn't always happen. right? But when you can actually launch at an event or a trade show or something where you get a physical reaction in real time, that light bulb moment just like makes everything else easier.
I mean, you just let it into this perfectly, but the cheat sheet is that we already talked about this. We were prepped, everyone who's listening to this episode. There's a really cool story, and this is really the hook of what I was like, I need this. I need you and your experience, Allison. Tell me about the conference, that moment that changed everything from your perspective.
Yeah. So, this actually, the funny thing, this is the first time I'd ever launched something at a conference before, at an event. So I didn't really know exactly what to expect, in this. But what happened was, obviously, you get everybody prepped for the event, right? And so knowing that they know how to demo, they know the story, right? And so they're kind of like, they're feeling like, is this going to work? Is it not going to work? How are people going to react when they actually see it? You think maybe they will, but it's not until you're actually in front of a customer or a potential customer that the excitement happens. So, prior to this, I had talked to one of my AEs, and he admitted to me that he was fearful of demoing this one product, right? Because it was really complicated and he had seen things just go south. And now here we are, we've launched a new update, something more exciting for this particular product line. And now it's time to get it in front of our audience. And we did this at the event, and he was nervous, but he actually, I jumped in, and although there were plenty of AEs who were there to demo, I was the one who demoed it. And so he saw me demoing this and saw the reaction from the customer saying, "Oh my God, I think this will solve all my problems." Now, when you hear somebody who says that, how often does that happen in a launch? Like,
Not
not
too
enough.
often.
I'll just say not enough, right? So, because, sometimes they're like incremental updates, right, that you're launching. Nothing is like, obviously there are those big moments, brand new products. But this one was such a thing when you got that reaction. And I was the one who actually passed on this deal to, this person saw me kind of almost close on the floor. And because of that, he was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. I can do this too." And just started diving in and sharing it. So that all happened at the conference, right? And that's just, that was one person at the conference. But after that, we started talking, right? And he just said, after that conference, he just said, "I saw what you did." Right. And now every single, every single conversation I have involves this product line, because he saw the reaction of those people at the conference, like, "Oh my God, this solves all my problems." If somebody said that to me, I would be using that information as well in all my other sales, right? So he got super hyped up. And it's easy to say, okay, well, this was just one person at just one event. Did that really do anything, right? But this one person doubled his quota. He did it. And that led, not just him, this was beyond, I'm just using him as like my one case study, but imagine this times 8, 10 other reps. And imagine that. And then we've had the most successful months, in company history. And I feel part of that is not just did the product didn't just hit, but their belief in the product hit, right? And their confidence made it hit. And all of those things had to come together in order for us to be successful. So I just don't want to like downplay the fact, right, that sales confidence is just a given, because it's not just a given. And I think we have to just shine a light on that, because it really does affect everything else downstream, like how well your launch is going to perform.
It does, and it's like you said, like you get buy-in from one rep, they typically will spread the word. Well,
Hmm.
if they don't want to protect in like their pipeline, they're a chance to President's Club, right? But like usually it goes like people see the success, they see the
Yeah.
building of that. There's usually team calls, pipeline reviews. Inevitably, someone's going to ask, "Hey, what are you doing different?" And
Yep.
that proof then snowballs in the greatest ways. I've never been a rep, but I have been a sales engineer. And one of
Yeah.
the things that you and I both agree on, though, is some of the magic and the things that land when it comes to strong demos, strong quote unquote decks, the messaging, the core of that is the actual words from customers, the feedback piece, right?
Yes, yes.
I know we've talked about it at length too. You view it as an enablement lever, sorry, as opposed to just marketing collateral, which honestly, I'm viewing it the same way. But how do you
It's both.
actually, yeah, it can't
Let's
be
just be
both.
clear. It can be
Yeah.
both. Yeah.
But how do you actually use customer stories or actions to build seller confidence at scale? You've already got the proof that you could do it, but then how do you
Mhm.
supplement that with the actual customer reactions of stories?
Yeah, well, when it comes to actual, I mean, yes, it can be, it's always been part of enablement, not just in the current company that I'm at, but even in past companies, right? Being able to deliver stories of how, of success stories right in the process of of the sale itself, of the pitch or the demo, saying, hey, this customer at, a similar type of company like what you had, they experienced success, right? And kind of given those metrics. And then obviously you have to have the proof points to back it up, right? What I did at this conference, it's kind of funny, but I stepped back and after I saw this person say, oh my God, I think this changed my, life, it maybe this is a little cringy, but I asked her, I was like, "Okay, can you say this again? Can I record you? And can you repeat that?" And she was very cool with it. And so she let me record it. And then I had this literally a 10-second clip just on my phone that I then used and I was able to give to my AEs to use as part of that. And they could even show it in their demo. I'm not sure if they actually did show this in their demo, to be fair, but I did use it also to help with the confidence for the rest of the team too. So yes, definitely pepper that stuff in all throughout because those proof points, I mean, it's more than just a static case study, right? I think that's just something, right? When you actually hear a person live saying those words, it changes everything.
It really does, and it provides real world context. Also, for me, I'm always like, I don't want to make something up. Like we get in the past, we've always
Oh,
been accused as marketers as making things up, quote unquote. So, like, no, this is grounded. Now, I love my demos. You know how much I love things like Novatic and just building those things. But
yeah.
there is a kind of like a nuance to doing it well. But more importantly, from your point of view, is how do I take this kind of magic in a bottle that you found out through a demo at a trade show, and how do you expand that into not only continuing that confidence wave, but actually make sure it's like predictable,
Yeah.
and how to continue to structure it around so the confidence is like your baseline for your team. What does that look like? How did you intentionally build it before that the event, or did you say, "Hey, this is something cool. Let's go use and expand this"? Like, what did that look like for you at post event?
It actually, the demo changed up a little bit post-event because, in your mind, or at least in my mind, I had a structured way that I was going to, that I gave to the reps in order to demo this new product, right? And so I gave them, it's more than a click path. You obviously have to tell the story, right? And the value and what is going to bring. You don't want to actually assume anything, peppering, peppering your calls with questions along the way, getting a lot of head nods, right? Like that's the whole goal with all of this stuff, right? It's not just, hey, click here, here's what you see, here, click there, there's what you see, right? But the reaction and what I saw at the conference itself and saw how some parts of this launch, some parts of the product hit more than the others. What I then did for the demo was really just like focused in on those areas. That actually helped lead to, because I use Novatic as well, for my tours. And so that helped as well to kind of tweak some of those tours, right? And make sure that the right things are in the right order and that the value statements that we're saying are also, looped in part of that demo and in part of those tours.
I love that. Such a great point. So to recap what you just said in my own silly words,
Yeah.
you actually use real time feedback, watching the interactions and what was being said, the body language, kind of mentally noted which parts were landing, and actually reworked demos post event to then focus and really highlight those things that you knew were being responded to really well. I love that. Oftentimes, I have the propensity to want to tell the whole story all in one shot, when in reality, that does not work at all. So, like that, keeping that at front of mind is perfect. Allison, one last question for you. Um, for a PMM who's listening to this,
Yeah.
or a friend of PMM, if you're really into this, what is one thing that a PMM can do tomorrow to start building the confidence with their sales team to go roll out a demo, to roll out new messaging like you did? Like where should we start?
I think that I think something has to be said, or you can't discount, you can't put enough emphasis on the relationship that you have with your sales team, right? And with your sales team and with your sales engineers and your solutions consultants and your head of sales. All of those things in order to be able to understand what is really working well, because of course, you know, they're doing demos all the time, right? They know what's working. They know what's definitely not hitting, and really kind of embedding yourself in with that team. So keeping it simple, embedding yourself with that team, building those relationships. It's all really back to basics on this sort of thing, because without that, you're not going to help and be able to feed their confidence level, right? So if you're in it with them, you're going to be on those enablement calls and you're going to get that feedback right away and be able to still continue to tweak and iterate on those demos, on everything that you're doing, because the sales team believes in you, that you can deliver for them. So they have not only confidence in the product and their abilities, but they believe in you as well. And so now you have that, here's that cringy word, but you have that synergy, right? In with that sales team. You want to be BFFs with them, right? Let's just be real.
You really do, and I might bleep out the synergy part. We'll see what I do in post here. But it's
That's so bad. I know.
Yeah. We do a pretty good job staying away from buzzwords, but every time
I just had to throw something like that.
I mean, in that case, we'll let it slide. But here's the thing: like, I literally just did a PMM charter. A lot of my current team has never worked with a product marketer, but one of the first slide was, this doesn't work without building core relationships with myself and y'all, right? Because that builds trust, that builds a channel of open, like, accurate feedback instead of holding it back, and like that's what will kill or make us as a GTM team is the lack or the openness of feedback and the ability to work together. So I love that you're calling that out.
Yes, that feedback loop is killer, especially whether it's for, on your charter, whether it's for your launches, whether it's on your enablement, doesn't matter, feedback at every step so that you are in lockstep.
Perfect. Allison, we covered so much in like 17 minutes. I'm really impressed, A, with myself, and B, with you, because you came here ready to knock it out. If people want to find you, what you do, follow you, learn from you more, where can they find you?
I'm on LinkedIn. That's the best place for me. LinkedIn all day, every day.
Chronically on LinkedIn, it feels like we all are. Also, you are pretty actively involved with PMM Camp, as well as Product Marketing Alliance. I believe you're an ambassador in the San Francisco Bay Area. You do a lot of cool events there. You are all over the place, and someone to follow and connect with. So thank you, Allison, for being gracious and generous, dropping through and dropping some great content and insights in a very short amount of time. Thank you. Thanks for being my friend, too.
Thanks so much, Adam. It's been lovely.
And if you're listening to this has been another episode of Product Marketing for You. Though I can't officially say it, feel free to follow us. Give us a 5-star rating if you want on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts now, too, so go check us out. Otherwise, we'll catch you on the next episode.